Life, the beautiful ordinary. Life doesn't wait for you to figure it all out. It happens in the mundane moments. The morning coffee that's too hot, the laugh that catches you off guard, the sunset you almost missed because you were scrolling. We spend so much time planning for someday that we forget today is all we really have. The messy, imperfect, beautifully ordinary today. So maybe the secret isn't having all the answers. Maybe it's just showing up, being present and letting yourself feel it all. The joy, the heartbreak, the wonder. Because this, right now, this is it. And that realization can be terrifying. Or liberating, maybe both. The illusion of control. We walk through life with our planners and our goals, our 5-year plans and our carefully curated vision boards. We think if we just work hard enough, plan meticulously enough, control tightly enough, we can bend life to our will. We can make it go exactly the way we want. But life has other plans. It always does. The job you were certain you'd get goes to someone else. The relationship you thought would last forever ends on a Tuesday afternoon. The path you were so sure of suddenly disappears beneath your feet, and you're left standing there, map in hand, completely lost. And in those moments, when everything falls apart, we have a choice. We can rage against the chaos, demand that life follow our script, exhaust ourselves trying to force outcomes that were never meant to be. Or we can take a breath. We can loosen our grip. We can acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, we were never in control to begin with. That doesn't mean we're powerless. It means we're learning to dance with uncertainty instead of fighting it. It means we're discovering that the best things in life often arrive unplanned, unexpected, unscheduled. Think about the moments in your life that changed everything, the ones that redirected your entire trajectory. How many of those did you plan? How many appeared on your vision board? Chances are the most transformative experiences came from left field, the conversation you weren't supposed to have, the opportunity that seemed to fall from the sky, the person you met by accident who became essential to your story. We grip so tightly to our plans because they give us the illusion of safety. If we can just control every variable, manage every outcome, anticipate every possibility, then nothing bad can happen. We'll be safe, we'll be successful, we'll be okay. But that's not how life works. And the tighter we grip, the more we suffer when reality refuses to conform to our expectations. We exhaust ourselves trying to control the uncontrollable. We miss opportunities because they don't look like what we planned for. We say no to adventures because they're not on the schedule. Learning to loosen your grip doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop setting goals or making plans or working toward what you want. It means you hold those plans lightly. It means you stay open to the plot twists. It means you trust that even when things don't go according to plan, you have the resilience and resourcefulness to adapt. Because here's the beautiful truth. Some of the best things in your life will be things you never thought to ask for. Some of the most important people you'll meet won't fit the profile you had in mind. Some of the paths that lead you exactly where you need to be will start with what feels like getting lost. The weight we carry. Think about all the things you're carrying right now. Not the phone in your pocket or the keys in your bag. The invisible things. The heavy things. The grudge from 3 years ago that still makes your chest tight when you think about it. The mistake you made last month that replays in your mind at 2 a.m. The expectation that you'll be perfect, successful, together, always together. The fear that you're falling behind while everyone else has it figured out. The worry that you're not enough, that you've never been enough, that you'll never be enough. We collect these burdens like stones, adding them one by one to an invisible backpack we carry everywhere. And we wonder why we're so tired, why getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain, why joy feels so far away. Here's something nobody tells you. You're allowed to put it down. Not all of it, not all at once, but piece by piece. Stone by stone. That grudge? It's hurting you more than them. That mistake? You've learned from it. You've grown past it. You're not the same person who made it. Those expectations? Half of them aren't even yours. You inherited them, absorbed them, swallowed them whole without questioning if they fit. What would happen if you gave yourself permission to travel lighter? Not to forget, not to pretend it never happened, but to acknowledge it, learn from it, and leave it behind. Think about forgiveness for a moment. Not the kind where you pretend everything is fine or excuse harmful behavior. The kind where you release yourself from the prison of resentment, where you stop letting that person or that situation take up rent-free space in your mind. Forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. It's about reclaiming the energy you've been spending on anger, on replaying what happened, on imagining different outcomes. It's about choosing peace over being right. It's about freeing yourself from the past so you can be present in your life. And what about self-forgiveness? That's often the hardest kind. We hold ourselves to impossible standards and then beat ourselves up when we inevitably fall short. We replay our mistakes endlessly, as if punishing ourselves enough will somehow undo what happened. But it won't. The only thing that self-punishment accomplishes is keeping you stuck. It keeps you small. It keeps you playing it safe because you're terrified of messing up again. What if you talk to yourself the way you talk to someone you love? What if you offered yourself the same grace, the same understanding, the same compassion you'd extend to a friend? You did your best with what you knew at the time. You've learned. You've grown. You're not that person anymore. And holding on to guilt and shame isn't noble or virtuous. It's just exhausting. Let yourself off the hook, not because you're letting yourself off easy, but because carrying that weight isn't serving anyone, least of all you. The comparison trap. In this age of highlight reels and filtered perfection, we've forgotten something crucial. We're comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's opening night. You see their promotion, their engagement, their vacation photos, their perfect home, their thriving business. You don't see the rejection letters that came before the acceptance, the arguments that happened before the proposal, the debt they're hiding behind the Instagram aesthetics, the sleepless nights, the anxiety, the moments they broke down crying in their car. Everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Everyone is terrified they're not measuring up. Everyone is curating their life to show you only what they want you to see. And here you are, comparing your rough draft to their published novel, wondering why your chapter 3 doesn't look like their chapter 20, forgetting that you haven't even read their earlier chapters, forgetting that their story isn't your story, their timeline isn't your timeline, their definition of success doesn't have to be yours. What if you stopped running someone else's race? What if you stopped measuring yourself against metrics that don't align with your values? What if you defined success on your own terms? Maybe success isn't a corner office. Maybe it's work that doesn't drain your soul. Maybe it's not a mansion. Maybe it's a home that feels peaceful. Maybe it's not being busy all the time. Maybe it's having time for the people and things you love. Your journey is yours alone. Stop apologizing for the pace you're moving at. Stop feeling guilty for choosing a different path. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. Social media has given us unprecedented access to other people's lives, and it's destroying our mental health. We scroll through feeds of perfectly curated moments and forget that what we're seeing is a highlight reel, not reality. Nobody posts about the mundane Tuesday when nothing happened. Nobody shares the photo where they're crying on the bathroom floor. Nobody admits how much debt they're in, or how lonely they feel, or how terrified they are that they're failing at life. And so we compare, we look at their vacation and forget we don't know how they afforded it or if they fought the whole time. We look at their relationship and forget that we only see the moments they choose to share. We look at their career and forget about all the rejection and failure that came before the success. The comparison game is rigged. You will always lose because you're comparing your whole messy reality to someone else's carefully selected moments. But here's what's even more insidious. Comparison steals your joy. You could be having the best day of your life, and then you scroll through social media and suddenly your accomplishment feels small. Your happiness feels inadequate. Your life feels lacking. You start believing the lie that everyone else has it figured out, that you're the only one struggling, that there's something wrong with you because your life doesn't look like theirs. But if you could see behind the curtain, you'd realize that everyone is improvising. Everyone is figuring it out as they go. Everyone has moments of doubt and fear and feeling like a fraud. The only way to win the comparison game is to stop playing, to unfollow accounts that make you feel bad about yourself, to remember that your value isn't determined by how you measure up to anyone else, to focus on your own journey, your own growth, your own definition of a life well lived. The practice of presence. We spend so much time living everywhere except right now. We're in yesterday, replaying conversations, analyzing what we should have said, what we could have done differently. We're in tomorrow, worrying about what might happen, planning for every possible scenario, catastrophizing about futures that may never arrive. And meanwhile, right now slips through our fingers like sand. The person sitting across from you is talking, but you're not really listening because you're thinking about your to-do list. Your child is showing you something they're proud of, but you're scrolling through your phone. The sun is setting in a blaze of orange and pink, but you're too busy to notice. Presence isn't a luxury. It's not something you get to once you've checked everything off your list. It's the only place life actually happens. This breath, this moment, this now. Everything else is memory or imagination. This is real. This is where your power lives. This is where connection happens. This is where joy exists. This is where peace can be found. But being present is harder than it sounds, isn't it? Our minds are conditioned to wander, to worry, to plan, to judge. We live in a world that profits from our distraction, that demands our attention be fractured into 1,000 pieces. Coming back to now is a practice. It's not something you achieve once and you're done. It's something you return to again and again throughout your day. When you notice your mind has drifted, you gently bring it back. When anxiety about the future creeps in, you ground yourself in what's actually happening right now. When regret about the past surfaces, you acknowledge it and redirect your focus to what you can do in this present moment. Here's what presence looks like in practice. It's putting your phone away when someone is talking to you. It's actually tasting your food instead of eating mindlessly in front of a screen. It's noticing the sensation of water on your skin in the shower. It's feeling your feet on the ground as you walk. It's listening to music without doing anything else. It's sitting with your coffee in the morning and just sitting, not scrolling, not planning, just being. These moments of presence are like deposits in a bank account. The more you practice, the more accessible this state becomes. You start to notice the quality of your life improving, not because your circumstances have changed, but because you're actually experiencing your life instead of just moving through it on autopilot. And here's what's profound. When you're truly present, a lot of your suffering dissolves. Because most of our suffering comes from either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Right now, in this exact moment, you're probably okay. You're breathing. You're safe. The catastrophe you're worried about hasn't happened yet and might never happen. This doesn't mean ignoring real problems or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means distinguishing between the pain that's actually present in this moment and the suffering we create through rumination and worry. Embracing imperfection. We live in a culture that worships perfection. Perfect bodies, perfect homes, perfect careers, perfect relationships, perfect lives. And we've bought into the lie that if we just try hard enough, we can achieve it. But perfection is a prison. It's an impossible standard that keeps us feeling inadequate, keeps us striving and never arriving, keeps us believing that we're only worthy when we're flawless. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Your imperfections are not flaws to fix. They're part of your humanity. They're what make you real, relatable, interesting. They're your proof that you're living, trying, risking, growing. The scar that tells a story of survival. The laugh lines that prove you've experienced joy. The failures that taught you resilience. The mistakes that shaped your wisdom. The quirks that make you uniquely you. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to be perfect and started trying to be whole? If you embraced all of yourself, the light and the shadow, the strength and the vulnerability, the success and the struggle. Wholeness means accepting that you're a work in progress, that you'll get some things right and some things wrong, that you'll have good days and hard days, that you're allowed to be complex, contradictory, constantly evolving. It means giving yourself the same compassion you'd give a good friend, speaking to yourself with kindness instead of criticism, celebrating your progress instead of fixating on what's still imperfect. Because here's what happens when you stop trying to be perfect. You start being present. You stop performing and start connecting. You stop hiding and start living. You discover that the version of yourself you've been trying so hard to present to the world is exhausting to maintain, and the real you, messy, imperfect, authentic you, is actually who people want to know. Think about the people you feel closest to. Chances are, it's not because they're perfect, it's because they're real. They've shown you their struggles, they've been honest about their fears, they've let you see them when they're not at their best. Vulnerability creates connection, perfection creates distance. When you pretend you have it all together, you rob other people of the opportunity to connect with the real you. You make them feel like they're the only ones struggling. You perpetuate the illusion that everyone else is perfect and they're falling short. But when you're honest about your imperfections, when you admit that you're figuring it out as you go, when you share your struggles and your failures, you give other people permission to be human too. You create space for real connection. You build authentic relationships based on who you actually are, not who you think you should be. And here's what's liberating. When you stop trying to be perfect, you free up so much energy. Energy you've been spending on maintaining a facade, on hiding your flaws, on pretending you don't struggle. That energy can now be redirected toward actually living your life, pursuing what matters to you, connecting with people you care about. Perfection is boring anyway. It's predictable, it's sterile, it's one-dimensional. Your imperfections are what make you interesting. They're what make your story worth telling. They're what make you human. The power of small moments. We've been conditioned to believe that life is made of big moments. The wedding day, the graduation, the promotion, the achievement, the milestone. We wait for these peaks, believing that's when life really happens, when we'll finally feel fulfilled, complete, arrived. But here's what they don't tell you. Life isn't lived on the peaks. It's lived in the valleys between them. It's lived in the ordinary, unremarkable, beautifully mundane moments that we often overlook in our rush to get to the next big thing. It's the morning ritual of making your coffee just the way you like it. The inside joke with your friend that makes you laugh every time. The way your partner's hand finds yours without thinking. The satisfaction of crossing something off your to-do list. The smell of rain on concrete. The stranger who held the door. The song that came on at exactly the right moment. These moments don't make headlines. They don't get likes on social media. They won't impress anyone at a dinner party. But they're where the texture of your life lives. They're where contentment is found. They're what you'll remember when you look back. Think about your favorite memories. Chances are, most of them aren't the perfectly planned events. They're the spontaneous conversations that went until 3 a.m. The road trip where everything went wrong, but you laughed the whole time. The quiet evening on the couch with someone you love. The moment you realized you were exactly where you needed to be. Life keeps trying to show us that happiness isn't a destination. It's not waiting for us at the end of some journey. It's woven into the fabric of our days, available in every moment we choose to notice it. We live in a culture obsessed with more. More success, more money, more achievements, more experiences, more everything. And we think that when we finally get more, we'll be happy. We'll be satisfied, we'll be content. But the goalpost keeps moving. You reach one milestone and immediately start focusing on the next one. You get the promotion and then you want the next one. You buy the house and then you want a bigger one. You go on the vacation and you're already planning the next one before this one is even over. This isn't to say you shouldn't have goals or ambitions. But if you're always focused on the next thing, you miss the beauty of right now. You miss the gift of what you already have. Gratitude is the antidote to always wanting more. It's the practice of pausing and noticing what's already good in your life. Not in a toxic positivity way where you pretend everything is perfect, but in a grounded way where you acknowledge the simple gifts that are easy to overlook. The luxury of clean water, the comfort of a safe place to sleep, the privilege of enough food, the gift of people who love you, the miracle of your body doing its thing without you having to think about it, the freedom to make choices about your life. These aren't small things. We just treat them like small things because we have them. But if they were suddenly taken away, we'd realize how precious they are. What if you started each day by noticing 3 small things you're grateful for? Not grand, impressive things, but simple, ordinary gifts. The warmth of the sun on your face, the smell of coffee, the text from a friend, the fact that you woke up and get another day to be alive. This practice doesn't ignore real problems or pretend life is perfect. It just trains your brain to notice the good alongside the hard. It helps you see that even in difficult seasons, there are still small moments of beauty, connection, and grace. Growth through difficulty. Nobody wants to hear this, but here it is anyway. The hard times are not interruptions to your life. They are your life. They're not obstacles blocking your path. They are the path. Every person you admire, every person who seems to have their life together, every person who radiates wisdom and strength, they've been through something. They've faced darkness. They've been broken. They've had to rebuild themselves from fragments. The difference isn't that they avoided difficulty, it's that they moved through it. They didn't let it make them bitter, they let it make them better. They didn't close their hearts, they let their hearts break open. They didn't give up, they found a way forward, even when forward was just one breath at a time. Your struggles are not punishments. They're not evidence that you're doing something wrong or that the universe is against you. They're invitations. Invitations to discover strengths you didn't know you had, to develop compassion you couldn't access before, to shed versions of yourself that no longer serve you, to become who you're meant to be. This doesn't mean you have to be grateful for pain. You don't have to pretend it doesn't hurt or slap a positive spin on something genuinely difficult. You can acknowledge that it's hard, that it's unfair, that you wish it were different. But somewhere on the other side of survival, you might find that the worst thing that ever happened to you also changed you in ways you needed. It redirected your path. It clarified your priorities. It showed you what you're made of. The person you are today exists because of everything you've been through, not despite it. Your resilience, your empathy, your depth. These weren't gifts you were born with. They were forged in fire. They were earned through endurance. Think about the hardest season you've ever been through, the one that brought you to your knees, the one where you didn't think you'd make it through. Maybe you're in that season right now. Here's what I want you to know. You're stronger than you think. You've survived 100% of your worst days so far. You've made it through things you thought would break you. You've found reserves of strength you didn't know existed. And if you're in the middle of it right now, if you're in the thick of the darkness and you can't see the light yet, keep going. One breath at a time, one moment at a time, one day at a time. You don't have to know how it's going to work out. You don't have to have a plan. You just have to keep breathing, keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep showing up for yourself even when it's hard. Because here's what happens in the hardest seasons. You discover who you really are. Not who you pretend to be or who you think you should be, but who you actually are when everything else is stripped away. You discover what you're capable of. You discover reserves of courage you didn't know you had. You discover that you can survive things you thought would destroy you. You discover that you're more resilient, more resourceful, more powerful than you ever gave yourself credit for. And you discover compassion, not just for yourself, but for others. Because once you've been in the darkness, once you've struggled and suffered and survived, you recognize that struggle in others. You develop empathy that can only come from experience. You become someone who can hold space for other people's pain because you know what it's like to be in pain. The hard seasons don't last forever. You will get through this. And when you do, you'll look back and realize that this season, as painful as it was also the season that changed you, that shaped you, that made you into who you're becoming. Connection and belonging. We're living through an epidemic of loneliness. We're more connected than ever and more isolated than ever. We have hundreds of friends online and no one to call at 2 a.m. We're surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. Something has gone wrong. Somewhere along the way, we traded depth for breadth. We chose quantity over quality. We started performing our lives instead of living them. We started curating instead of connecting. Real connection requires vulnerability. It requires showing up as you actually are, not as you think you should be. It requires risking rejection. It requires admitting that you don't have it all together. It requires asking for help. It requires being seen. And that's terrifying. Because what if they see you, really see you, and decide you're not enough? What if you open up and they walk away? What if you're honest about struggling and they judge you? But here's the thing. The people who matter won't. The people worth keeping in your life will meet your vulnerability with their own. They'll say, "Me too." They'll hold space for your mess without trying to fix it. They'll show up when things are hard, not just when things are easy. You don't need 100 surface-level friendships. You need a handful of people who know your whole story and love you anyway. People who've seen you at your worst and didn't leave. People who celebrate your wins without envy and support you through losses without judgment. Building these connections takes time. It takes intention. It takes showing up consistently, not just when it's convenient. It takes being the kind of friend you want to have. It takes reaching out first, being honest about your needs, creating space for others to be honest about theirs. And it takes accepting that not everyone will be your person. Some people are meant to be in your life for a season, not forever. Some relationships will fade, and that's okay. It doesn't mean it wasn't real or meaningful. It just means you're both evolving, and sometimes people evolve in different directions. Human beings are wired for connection. It's not a nice to have, it's a need. Study after study shows that the quality of our relationships is the single biggest predictor of our happiness and longevity. Not money, not success, not achievement. Relationships. And yet we're lonelier than ever. We substitute real connection with digital connection. We think that likes and comments count as meaningful interaction. We scroll through our feeds feeling simultaneously connected to everyone and close to no one. Real connection happens face to face, or at least voice to voice. It happens when you're vulnerable enough to share what's really going on. It happens when you ask for help. It happens when you show up for someone else even when it's inconvenient. It happens when you have the hard conversations. It happens when you let someone see you cry. If you're feeling lonely, I want you to know you're not alone in feeling alone. So many people are experiencing this same disconnection, this same longing for real community, for authentic belonging. And I want to encourage you to be brave. Reach out to someone, invite them to coffee, tell them you've been struggling and you need to talk. Share something real, something vulnerable, something true. Yes, it's scary. Yes, they might not reciprocate, but they also might. And that possibility, the possibility of real connection, of being truly seen and accepted, is worth the risk. Because here's what I've learned. Most people are desperate for real connection. They're tired of small talk. They're tired of pretending. They're waiting for someone to go first, to be brave enough to be real, to open the door to deeper connection. Be that person. Go first. Be brave enough to be vulnerable. You might be surprised by what happens when you do. Finding purpose. There's this pressure to have your life figured out, to know your purpose, your calling, your reason for being here. And if you don't have a clear answer, if you're still searching, still questioning, still trying to figure out what you're meant to do with this one wild and precious life, you feel like you're failing. But what if purpose isn't something you find? What if it's something you create every day through the choices you make and the way you show up? Your purpose doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to change the world or leave a legacy. It can be small and quiet and personal. It can be raising kind humans. It can be creating beauty. It can be showing up for the people you love. It can be making someone's day a little easier. It can be doing work that matters to you, even if no one else understands why. Purpose isn't a destination. It's not something you achieve and then you're done. It's the thread that runs through your days, the meaning you bring to your moments, the intention behind your actions. Maybe your purpose right now is simply to survive, to keep going when everything in you wants to quit, to choose yourself when it would be easier not to find joy in small things when the big things feel overwhelming. Maybe your purpose is to learn, to grow, to become a version of yourself you can be proud of, to unlearn harmful patterns, to heal old wounds, to break cycles, to be better than you were yesterday. Maybe your purpose is to connect, to love deeply, to be present, to listen, to see people, to make space for others to be themselves, to build community, to foster belonging. Or maybe you don't know yet. Maybe you're still figuring it out. And that's not just okay, that's beautiful. That means you're open to possibilities. That means you're allowing life to surprise you. That means you haven't closed yourself off to paths you haven't imagined yet. We put so much pressure on ourselves to have it all figured out, to know exactly what we're here for, to have a mission statement and a 5-year plan and a clear vision of where we're going. But life doesn't work that way for most people. Most of us are figuring it out as we go. Most of us are following breadcrumbs, not a map. Most of us are discovering our purpose through living, through trying things, through paying attention to what lights us up and what drains us. Your purpose might be different at different seasons of your life. What felt meaningful in your 20s might not resonate in your 40s. What you're called to do might evolve as you evolve. And that's not failure. That's growth. That's being alive and awake to the unfolding of your life. Here's what I believe about purpose. It's not about finding the one thing you were meant to do. It's about bringing intentionality to whatever you're doing. It's about showing up fully. It's about infusing your days with meaning, even when you're doing ordinary things. You can find purpose in how you treat people, in the kindness you extend to strangers, in the way you show up for your friends, in the example you set for your children or the people who look up to you. You can find purpose in your work, whether it's world-changing or not, If you're showing up with integrity, if you're doing your best, if you're treating people well, that matters. You can find purpose in how you spend your free time, in the hobbies that bring you joy, in the creative pursuits that let you express yourself, in the causes you support, in the community you build. Purpose doesn't have to be your career. It doesn't have to be the thing that makes you money. It doesn't have to impress anyone or make sense to anyone but you. It just has to matter to you. It just has to feel meaningful. It just has to give your days a sense of direction and intention. And if you're still searching, if you're still in the question, honor that. The search itself is purposeful. The willingness to keep asking, keep exploring, keep paying attention to what calls to you, that's living with purpose. Closing, this is it. So, here we are, at the end of these 40 minutes and somehow still at the beginning of everything that matters. Because the truth is, you could listen to every motivational speech, read every self-help book, scroll through every inspirational quote, and none of it will matter if you don't do the hardest thing of all, live your actual life. Not the life you think you should be living. Not the life that looks good on paper or sounds impressive at parties. Your life. The messy, imperfect, beautifully ordinary life that's waiting for you right now. The one where you're still figuring things out, where you don't have all the answers, where some days you feel on top of the world and other days you can barely get out of bed, where you're doing your best even when your best looks different from day to day. This is it, this moment, this breath, this perfectly imperfect now. You don't have to wait until you've lost the weight, earned the degree, gotten the promotion, met the person, reached the goal. You don't have to wait until you're ready, because you'll never feel fully ready. You don't have to wait until you're perfect, because you'll never be perfect. You just have to start, right where you are, with what you have, as who you are. Start showing up. Start being present. Start choosing yourself. Start letting go. Start being honest. Start taking risks. Start being kind to others and to yourself. Start living like this matters, because it does. You are here. You are alive. You are enough. Right now, exactly as you are enough. So stop waiting for someday. Someday is now. This is it. Make it count, because you've been given this one extraordinary gift. A life. Your life, with all its complexity and contradiction, all its joy and heartbreak, all its mundane moments and magical surprises. You didn't ask for this gift. You didn't earn it. It was simply given to you. And now you get to decide what you're going to do with it. Are you going to live it fully, messily, authentically? Are you going to take risks and make mistakes and learn and grow? Are you going to love deeply, even though love means you might get hurt? Are you going to pursue what matters to you, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else? Are you going to show up as yourself, flawed and imperfect and beautifully human? Or are you going to play it safe? Are you going to hide? Are you going to wait for permission, for the perfect moment, for guaranteed success before you try? The choice is yours. It's always been yours. And I hope you choose to really live. I hope you choose presence over distraction. I hope you choose connection over isolation. I hope you choose authenticity over perfection. I hope you choose courage over comfort. I hope you choose to stop waiting and start living. Because this is it. This is your one precious, ordinary, extraordinary life. And it's happening right now. If this message resonated with you, don't let it end here. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to this channel for more reminders about what really matters in life. And most importantly, leave a comment below telling me what's one small thing you're going to do today to start living more intentionally. Let's build a community of people who are done waiting and ready to make the most of this beautiful, messy, ordinary life. I'll see you in the next video.